The Skeletal System, Part 1, Chapter 6. Happy Halloween, everybody! So the Health Issues Report is due the 10th of November. No later, no sooner. Well, sooner would be great. Your scoring guide basically tells you everything you need to know. Turn in the scoring guide. Turn in everything that states there. If you have questions, ask your teacher. We'll help you. Alright, your CLA reading guide is due Thursday. This time we're making it due because this reading guide is pretty comprehensive over Part 1 of the bones, the part you need to know about, and it gives you more practice. The action plan, we want you to write a letter to the editor. If we haven't said so already in class, you need to take an action. So basically take your conclusion of what you found, what you've learned from both sides of your issue, and just say, Dear Editor, hi, my name is so-and-so. I have done research in human anatomy this year at Limburg High School, and I've looked at both sides of the issue on your subject. This is my conclusion. I wish everyone out there would practice whatever. Mail to an editor, St. Louis Post-Dispatch, South County Times, whatever. If you get it published, we'll throw in 10 points extra credit on your project. Deer hearts and kidneys, speaking of extra credit. If you know a deer hunter, or if you are a deer hunter, you get the hearts and kidneys. You get 20 points per kidney. That's 40 points for 2 kidneys, 35 for a heart. You get 75 points from one deer right there. Bring them in a Ziploc container, sealed and frozen, so that we can see that they really are hearts and kidneys. Turn in your extra credit sheet with it so that we can give you credit where credit is due. And turn them in before finals week. Flip class bones tonight. That's what I'm doing right now, so listen to it. Alright. 2nd, 3rd, 6th, and 7th hours, 4 classes graded from the integumentary system. Did pretty well. You can see there's a nice bell curve, but it's lean to the right. The average happens to be a beautiful 80%. Nice job. Alright, the skeletal system. There are 206 bones associated with the skeletal system, including connective tissues. Alright, 206 bones in the adult human body. Now 206 is underlined in red. By now you know that means you'll probably see it on the test. There's cartilage, there are tendons, and there is ligaments. Cartilage lines in the bones, tendons connect muscle to bone, and ligaments bone to bone. 5 functions of bones. 1 is support. Bones bear the weight. Without bones, we'd be like an amoeba. Cartilage is firm yet flexible. Sharks, skates, and rays are all cartilaginous fish. They have no bone. Now you know cartilage on your end of your nose and your ears is pretty flexible, but it's firm enough to keep your nose pointed out there and open up so you can breathe. Ligaments are bands of fibrous collagen that connect bones to bones. So BLB, bone, ligament, bone. Second function, protection. Thanks to your rib cage, it surrounds the heart. So you get punched in the ribs, they're not going to kill you. Your brain is surrounded by this nice thick skull. So some of you bounce your head off something, you're not getting brain damage. Function 3 is movement. Tendons connect muscle to bone, allow the muscles to pull the bones. Bones give us nice long strides rather than amoeboid movement. Ligaments, there's limited movement between the bones. If you grab your hand and kind of twist it, you can feel the little bones in your hand move a little bit. Joints allow movement between bones. We're going to talk about the different types of joints in your body, so you need to know those for the test as well. You just need to know them in general for life. Tendons and ligaments are also composed mainly of collagen fibers, strong collagenous fibers. Collagen. Function 4, storage. Your bones also store extra calcium, phosphate, and the hard part of your bone is basically a mineral called hydroxyapatite, made of calcium phosphate crystals. Ooh, hydroxyapatite. It's a big, bold word. You should probably know that. Also, fat is stored in the bones. Remember, 50% of your fat is stored in the subcutaneous under your skin, but the yellow marrow is fat stored in the bone. and they are released in the blood when needed. If you're starving and you've been fasting for a long time, you used all the fat under your skin, you start using from the bone. Function 5, blood cell production. Yes, blood cells are produced in the bone marrow. Hey, that red bone marrow, red blood cells. Red bone marrow forms blood cells and platelets, also known as thrombocytes. This is mostly in the spongy or cancellous bone at the ends of the bones. It's called the epiphyses. The skeletal system is made of connective tissue which contains extracellular matrices. Extracellular matrix, remember, for connective tissues, is outside the cell, the stuff that surrounds the cell. Now in bone, obviously, that's solid, like hydroxyapatite. Yet, bones are also flexible. They bend a bit before they snap. So the extracellular matrix, outside the osteocytes, the bone cell, you have collagen. Tough, rope-like protein allows the bones to bend a little bit before they snap. Proteoglycans, which they're basically protein and carbohydrate structures shaped like pine trees, and they collect water in them, make them very flexible like the cartilage in your nose. And of course, hydroxyapatite, the calcium phosphate crystals. Very important to know. So here you see the end of a bone. Okay, you see the cancellous or spongy bone. You see the cortical or the hard bone. Well, you see the marrow in the medullary cavity. Medulla means middle, so medullary cavity is the cavity in the middle. That contains marrow. Blood vessels go throughout the bone. They have to feed the bone. You've got surrounding your bone periosteum with osteoclasts and osteoblasts constantly changing the shape of the bone. You've got articular cartilage at the end, some of that nice hyaline cartilage, which keeps your bones from rubbing against each other. And of course the epiphyseal plate, also known as your growth plate. It's in the epiphyses. Epiphyses are the ends, epi upon. Now that growth plate, the doctor can do an x-ray and see that it hasn't fused, means you're probably still growing. Once it's fused solid and got thin, you're done growing. Compact bone is the solid bone. That's what we looked at under the microscope, where you can see the osteons, the beautiful little structures that are so easy to tell bone. Cancellous bone is this, what we call a spongy bone, because it looks spongy. It doesn't quite give the same pretty little view that you do under a microscope as the compact bone. Compact bone again has lamellae, sheets, kind of like laminate sheets, lamellae, laminate sheets of hydroxyapatite laid down around in a circular formation. Little tiny canals called canaliculi, not canaliculi, but canaliculi, tiny canals, which go from the blood vessels in the central osteon canal out to every little osteocyte living in its own little lacuna. So the lacuna are little black holes there containing the osteocytes, the bone cells, which have been trapped in now that they've planted all their hydroxyapatite around them. They still need to live. So the tiny little cracks called canaliculi carry nutrients from the blood vessels out to the blood cell, the osteocyte. That whole little thing is called an osteon. It is the unit of compact bone. So the structural unit of compact bone is an osteon. Here they show one osteon sticking out from the bone. Again, periosteum is on the outside of the bone. Endosteum lines the inside of the bone in the medullary cavity, not shown here in this picture. Okay, the Haversian canal, Clopton Havers was a Swedish scientist who found it. Yeah, we just call it the osteon canal as well. Okay, 4 types of bones based on shape. There's your long bones, typical Halloween bones, your femur, your tibia, your radius and ulna, the long bones, because they're longer than they are wide. Most of the upper limbs. Everything's shown in green here, basically, in the background. Then we have what we call, oh, there's some more long bones, your fingers. We have short bones, your carpals. Okay, the longer ones at the end, the metacarpals, are long bones. But the ones there of your wrist, those are short bones, your carpals, and your tarsals, the ones you step with. And flat bones. Flat bones usually are flat, like your ribs and your scapula and your sternum. They're kind of flat. And then you get this weird shaped one, which is irregular shaped, like your vertebra. We call those irregular bones. Some of the weird bones, like the sphenoid, the skull, they're just a weird shape. Vertebrae are a great example of that. And some of the facial bones, like the mandible. Alright, the diaphysis. Diaphysis is in the middle. That's the middle part of the long bone. Epiphyses are in the end. So the diaphysis is your central shaft. Epiphyses are the ends of the bone. These little diagrams over here on the right come from this textbook website of labeling practice. Again, the articular cartilage is hyaline cartilage covering the ends of the epiphyses so bones don't rub against bones. When you get older, if you've worn that down playing a lot of high contact sports, then you get osteoarthritis. What type of cartilage? Hyaline, of course. Epiphyseal line is your epiphyseal plate we talked about. That is your growth plate. There's cartilage in there as you're growing, and when that fuses, you're done growing. The epiphyseal line is your growth plate. The medullary cavity, again, is the cavity in the medulla where the bone marrow is found in the diaphysis. Okay, not in epiphyses, but in the diaphysis. And it contains red and yellow bone marrow, mainly yellow bone marrow, but there's red towards the end of it. Yellow bone marrow, again, is mostly adipose fat. As you get older, you get less red bone marrow and more fat stored in there, so your body doesn't produce as many red blood cells. Keep active. Whoa, look what we're going to do later. This is your homework, and not homework, this is classwork. So you'll be doing this in class later. This ends part 1 of, you know what, this doesn't end it. We got another minute. It's over.